Back to the basics. Addition and subtraction of real numbers. Yesterday we talked about using a number line to add and subtract any number, whether it's positive or negative. Feel free to pause and attempt the problem of the day. I will give you one tip. We talked about the connection between addition and subtraction. Subtraction is really just adding a negative. Subtraction and negatives are the same idea. Either way, you're taking away 8. Pause and attempt the problem of the day. Welcome back. Let's get on the same terms, vocabulary-wise. When you add two numbers, this is the sum. So the answer when you add numbers is the sum. The difference is when you subtract. This is the name. These are the names for the two answers. An addition answer is called a sum. A subtraction answer is called a difference. Let's look at some rules for if they add and they are the same exact sign. What is the absolute value? Just a quick review. Absolute value is the distance a value is on the number line away from 0, otherwise known as the positive version of that value. When you're finding the sum of two numbers that are the same sign, positive, positive, or negative, negative, add their absolute values. If both numbers are positive, then the answer is positive. If both numbers are negative, the answer is negative. -7 plus -3. Now, you don't have to, for a problem like this, write out all the work that I'm writing out. I'm just showing you why it works this way. -3, the absolute value is positive. -7, the absolute value is 7. 3 plus 7 is 10. They were both negatives, the answer is negative. To put it in simpler terms, these are the mathematic, very specific vocabulary terms. Take the digits 7 and 3, simply add them, and if they're both negative, the answer is negative. If they're both positive, the answer is positive. Think about it this way. If you start walking in the positive direction and you never turn around, you're going to end up positive. You keep walking in the negative direction and you don't turn around, you're going to keep ending up negative. Let's try one together. 8 plus 6. Now again, this is simple. This is what we've done before when it's both positive and addition. This is one of the first mathematical concepts, first calculations we've ever done. Absolute value of 8 is 8. Absolute value of 6 is 6. We're going in the positive direction for both, so the answer is 14. It's a little more tricky when the signs are opposite. Go ahead and try 1 through 4 on your own. Go through your pause. Welcome back. I'll go through these really quick. Same sign. Add them up, you get 12. Positive. Both are negative, so my answer I know. Before I even calculate anything, I know my answer is negative. 7 plus 9 is 16, so I get negative 16. -10 plus -13, I know it's going to be negative. 10 plus 13 is 23. 50 plus 70, a little shortcut. When you have numbers that end in 0, ignore the zeros for a second. 5 plus 7 is 12. They each had 1 0, so the zeros come right back. If they have opposite signs, one positive, one negative, that's generally when things get a little bit more complicated. To subtract, so you subtract their absolute values. The biggest, I'm going to put quotes around these, biggest value or biggest number minus the smallest number. The reason I put these in quotes, we're actually talking about the bigger absolute value or the smaller absolute value. I use the word number because relates more to what you guys have over the years said. So when I say number, I mean the bigger absolute value. What this really means is the digit is bigger. Ignoring the sign, ignoring the value, the digits are bigger. The sign of the answer will be the sign of the number with the biggest absolute value. So again, the number with the bigger digits is going to be the number that gives us our sign. Let's try this one. Negative 15 plus positive 9. Take their absolute values. Negative 15 gives you a bigger absolute value. Again, if you just look at negative 15 and 9 and ignore their signs, 15, air quotes, is bigger than 9. That's how we do our absolute value. 15 minus 9 is 6. The last step is figure out what's our sign. Well, negative 15. 15 was the bigger absolute value, so it's negative 6. 12 plus negative 7. Take their absolute values, subtract the bigger absolute value minus the smaller. 12 minus 7, so the digit is 5. We have to give it a sign to give it a value. The bigger absolute value was 12. 12 was positive, my answer is positive. Adding and subtracting negatives, not easy. Despite it seeming very easy. On your own, try 1, 2, 3, and 4. Welcome back. Negative 10 plus 12. Take their absolute value, subtract. Bigger absolute value is 12. Smaller absolute value is 10. 12 is further away from 0 than negative 10 is. That's really what we're looking at. It's almost like a tug of war. 12 minus 10 is 2. Going back to that tug of war idea. 12 is further away. It already kind of has a head start. So it's going to pull the answer, our sum, towards the positive end. Past the 0 over the positive. 25 plus negative 29. 29 has the bigger absolute value. It's further from 0. 29 minus 25 is 4. Again, 29, negative 29 has that head start. It's further away from 0 than 25 is. So my answer, my sum, is going to be negative. Number 3 is 10. And number 4, when you add opposites, you get 0. We talked about that in our last lesson. Subtraction. When you subtract a number, you add its opposite. I mentioned this briefly in the problem of the day today. The opposite of negative 11 is positive 11. They are the exact same distance away from 0. So if I add it, so plus 11, I'm going to the right. The opposite of 11 is negative 11. If I subtracted negative 11, well, that's negative tells me to go to the left. Subtraction tells me to go the opposite direction. I end up at positive 11 anyway. Okay? The trick is to turn it into addition. One thing a lot of students tend to understand this better. If I said 5 minus negative 2, 2 negatives, or a subtraction and a negative, become plus a positive. So you change the operation to plus, and you go to the opposite, the second number. And those are the rules for adding or subtracting two numbers. Change the operation from subtraction to addition. Change the second number to its opposite. Negative becomes positive, positive becomes negative. Follow the addition rules. Essentially, why we do this is so we don't have to have a set of rules for addition with negatives and subtraction with negatives. It's easier to have one set of rules to memorize and to practice. Now, if you have to do 5 minus 2, I'm sure you can do that. Two positive numbers where the first number is bigger than the second. Very simple. That's what you learn subtraction is. We're talking about when it's not like that. 10 minus 14. All the work's written out for you. Change the operation. Step 1. Change the sign. Step 2. Positive 14 became negative 14. Then, because they ended up being opposite signs, I follow my opposite sign rules. There they are. Where I take biggest absolute value minus the smallest absolute value, and the sign comes from the biggest absolute value. 10 minus, or 14 minus 10 is 4. Negative 14 gave me the bigger absolute value, so I get negative 4. 9 minus negative 2. Change the operation. Change the sign. 9 plus 2 is 11. Remember, our rule is if they're both positive when I'm adding, the answer is positive. Let's try one together. 7 minus negative 6. So I need to change the operation to positive. Opposite sign, so it's now positive 6. Well, that's easy. Same sign. 7 plus 6 is 13. Give 1 through 4 a try on your own. Negative 5 minus negative 6, or minus a negative is plus a positive. They're opposite signs. Bigger absolute value minus smaller absolute value. 6 minus 5 is 1. The bigger absolute value is positive, so my answer is positive. 2 is 12. 4 minus 11. Adding an opposite. Again, opposite signs, so subtract. 11 minus 4 is 7. My bigger absolute value was negative, so my answer is turning that subtraction, which looked nasty, into addition means that now I'm adding the same sign. So let's add them. 7 plus 6 is 13. Both are negative, so my answer. Give your exit slip a try and show me at the end of the week. Here is your homework. I do not want calculators on this, guys. First month of this class, no calculators. First unit here. Give these a try. You can use your number line. You can use the rules we've learned for same sign or opposite sign. For subtraction, you can use your subtraction rules you've learned before, or simply remember, change it to addition, and then these problems are all the same. Thank you for joining me.